Hi everyone, welcome back to the cottage. I hope that you had an amazing Christmas break and that you are feeling refreshed and ready for the new year. Today I want to share with you 23 intentional ideas that can help you reset your mind and prepare yourself for 2023. Now, these ideas are actually coming to you after the new year has already started. I know many of you like to plan and prepare before the first of the year, but none of these things on the list are necessarily goals or things that you need to have set in place before the year begins. These are more intentional ideas that you can really adopt anytime during the year. So if you're watching this video mid-year, you can go ahead and grab some of these ideas and set them into action today. I also want to note that this is not meant to be a checklist. You don't need to do everything on the list. In fact, you don't even need to do anything on this list. These are just ideas that can generate some sparks in your mind. So I would encourage you, as I am talking through it, to jot down a few things that you hear me say that resonate with you, that you can bring forward in your new year. The first intentional tip that I want to share is to embrace you. A lot of times during this time of year, we hear the phrase, new year, new you, change this about yourself, do this thing to make yourself better. But the truth of the matter is that just because the calendar turns, it doesn't mean that you're magically going to become a different person. You are still the same person inside, and whatever you're planning to accomplish this year is just going to enhance that person. The world only has one you, and I know that at times it might feel that you are insignificant or you don't matter, but that is simply not the case. The world needs you and all of the talents and abilities and creativity and love and passion that you bring to it. Start your year off with honesty. Do a little reflection exercise and think about how you feel in your life right now in this moment. Are you feeling happy, joyful? Are you feeling kind of let down or that you aren't meeting your potential? Be thinking about all the things that make up your life, whether that is finances or family or friendships or work, your life, everything that goes into it, and be honest about every aspect, how you're feeling about it. And this is really just going to help you make some determinations about what you even want to accomplish in the new year. As you are doing this reflection exercise, look to the past, but don't be bound to it. Sometimes we can get really caught up in thinking about the things that went wrong, or even thinking about our accomplishments in the past year and realizing it's going to be difficult to meet those same accomplishments in the coming year. But as they say, the rear view mirror of your vehicle is small and tiny because you're just supposed to take little glances back. But the real true view is what is in front of you, what is to yet unfold, and that is where your focus should be. One really fun and intentional idea to get yourself looking forward is to put together a vision board. And this is where you take quotes that you've heard or pictures of things that you are inspired by, and you actually physically put them together on a board. This can be a physical board that you have hanging somewhere in your home, or it can be digital, just so long as you're seeing it on a regular basis. It can be extra fun to do this process with a group of friends and then talk about what your visions are for the new year. My next intentional tip is two parts, and that is to make small goals, which can help you to realize larger goals. Now, here on YouTube this time of year, there are likely going to be a ton of videos talking about goal setting and how they need to be attainable, and yet they need to be time-bound, and all these different rules that go along with it. I feel like sometimes that can be a bit overwhelming, and so I like to say start with a small goal, something small that you can actually attain very quickly. If you're decluttering, think about that drawer that you can go through or that shelf that you can rearrange. In my own personal life, I can give you an example from the past year. I had a small goal of putting out one video every single week. And that smaller goal actually led me to see a larger goal, which was the growth of this channel. I wasn't necessarily seeing the growth of the channel as being my goal for the year, but because of the smaller goal, it actually led into that larger goal. And now here I am, very close to attaining 10,000 subscribers, which is incredible. And I'm excited that soon I will reach that metric, and I plan to do some sort of giveaway or fun video for that. So definitely be staying tuned to that. But I just want to share again that that small goal that you make can lead to those bigger goals being in sight, and that is really exciting. Learn to say no and own it. I'm putting this one in the list really quickly because we all need this reminder. I need this reminder constantly, but it is okay to say no to things. It's okay to say no to an item that you don't care about. It's okay to say no to a commitment that doesn't align with your values. It's okay to say no to being friends with somebody that brings you down. It doesn't mean that we are selfish or that we are not being a good team player. No is a complete sentence, and if you own it and mean it, that should stand. A new year is the perfect time to invest in your dreams, whether that means spending extra time on that dream or even physically buying something that can aid you in that process. Maybe you want to learn how to paint and so you need to buy some new art supplies, or you want to get physically fit so you buy a new pair of running shoes. Whatever your dream is, invest in it in the new year. Understanding perspective is another way to be very intentional in the new year. And I'm excited about this one. Perspective is actually my word of the year. I don't know if you do that, set a word for yourself for the year, but that is mine. And what I think about when I think about the word perspective is to see things from other people's point of view. And so when I think about my 98-year-old grandmother and hearing her stories of her perspective of time that she's lived here on this earth, and also looking at my kids and really getting down to their level, seeing the world from their eyes, and taking on these different visions of the world, of life from other people's perspectives, I think will really help me to hone in on what my perspective is and be really present in the moment. So this is something that is really going to be guiding me intentionally in the new year. Make the most out of your day. I have never done a morning routine here on this channel because, quite frankly, the morning time is not my favorite time of the day. I know that's all the rage and all the videos about productivity and how you have to wake up before everyone else and check off these different things off your list. I just can't force myself to do that. It sounds good in theory, it sounds good on paper, but in reality, it just does not work for me. And so I've learned to really embrace what my most productive time of the day is, which tends to be around the afternoon hours. Now, maybe you're a night owl, or maybe you are that morning person that wakes up before the sun. That is okay. Just find out what time of day works for you and embrace it and make the most out of it. Establish healthy habits. I have fallen victim in past years of setting too many rules and regulations for myself at the beginning of the year of things that I want to accomplish in terms of New Year's resolutions. I want to make sure I'm working out every single day. I'm eating salads for every single meal. I'm doing all of these things that really sets me up for failure because shortly into probably the month of February, I've already fallen off of that. And so instead, I have in the past couple of years really embraced the idea of establishing healthy habits. And habits, as you know, are things that come very routine. You don't have to think about them hardly anymore after you've done them enough times, like brushing your teeth. You just do it every single day. And so I would encourage you to start with something small if you're looking to live a more healthy life. Maybe something like tracking how much water that you drink in a day and trying to get to a goal of so many ounces, or tracking how many times a week that you move your body. That doesn't have to be anything rigorous. It can be stretching, yoga, going for a walk, lifting a few weights, something like that. Just find healthy habits that you want to accomplish and make a goal of going towards those. And when trying to establish a brand new habit, I definitely encourage you to test out the 20-second rule, which is a way to kind of make those habits stick. And I'm not going to go into all the details about that because I have done a full-length video all about that topic, and so I'll have that linked down below in the description box. Another way to bring intentionality into the new year is to spend time in silence. And this just sounds peaceful just thinking about it, really, doesn't it? Because we live in a world that is so busy and loud and constant motion that sometimes we can't even hear our own thoughts. And so to set aside some time and some space to really have that moment of silence is just so refreshing. It also can be really important to celebrate unplanned time. Have you ever noticed before the start of a new year that the sale of calendars and planners just tends to skyrocket because everyone is thinking about planning everything out for the new year and getting everything in place? I am just as guilty as the next person because I love to be planned and I love to know what's coming next. But knowing that there is some unplanned time that you can really let your guard down and just see where the day leads you, that is really important too. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes. So really celebrate that unplanned time with spontaneity and just trying out things that you normally don't get to do. Actually, if you need to, go ahead and schedule in some unplanned time in your schedule if that's what it takes to actually make that happen. Share gratitude. This can also get away from us sometimes, but it is really important to be intentional about making sure that we let others know when they have done something that really makes us happy. I think that we forget about this sometimes. It used to be the norm that if somebody gave you a gift, you would write them a thank you letter, and that isn't so much the case anymore, but sharing that gratitude, it really helps the other person know how much that you appreciate them, and that can make you feel good as well. Making a bucket list can be a really fun way to usher in the new year by writing down all the ideas of fun activities or experiences that you could try to tackle in 2023. Maybe you want to learn an instrument or a foreign language, or you want to take up sketching again, or playing a board game with the family. Whatever those different ideas are, jot them all down, and then if you're feeling stagnated or there's just some drudgery going on in your life, you can revisit the list and pull something from it to bring a little bit more joy. Connect to nature, get outside and get that dose of vitamin D. Being out in nature really helps us to understand our place in this big interconnected world. It helps to ground us and get our senses going, really. I know that last year, 2022, I really blossomed in this regard because I spent a lot of time in my garden, watching how the bees were pollinating the flowers, watching the seed grow into a plant. It's all just so beautiful and so magical, and it's right out there for us to enjoy. Take the time to streamline just one task on your to-do list, and you will see how much that really helps clear up your mind and reset your frame of reference, especially if it's something that you don't care much about. For me, that was cooking and preparing the meals. I wanted to take all of the guesswork, all of the extra effort out of it, and to make it just very, very streamlined. And so I came up with these recipe rotations that we go through that helps with grocery shopping. I don't have to worry about making all these lists of what I'm going to buy for groceries. It helps me save time in the kitchen, which is probably one of my least favorite places to spend any time, and it also saves us money because we're not buying extra things that we aren't going to be using. And so it really does streamline the task of putting meals on the table for my family, and it gives me time to enjoy doing other things that I'd rather be focused on. Give yourself grace and let go of perfection. I know that this one can sometimes be easier said than done, but the beauty of being a human is that we actually learn from our mistakes. We learn from things that we failed at as long as we pick ourselves up and try again. And so if you find yourself with a goal in mind and you're into February or March and you've already kind of fallen off the bandwagon, it's not going the way you thought it would go, learn from why it didn't work out that way and pick yourself up and try again. Don't let failure become a roadblock to what could be your success. Just learn from your mistakes, keep going forward, give yourself that grace and that space to move on and try again. Reassess your digital life. We live in a digital world full of screens and computers and social media and influencers, and it can be hard sometimes to pull away from that. And so to be intentional in the new year, I think it would be a great idea to set aside some time, whether that's daily or weekly, to really unplug from all of these devices, to spend some time working on goals that don't require that, reading books, playing games with the family, just maybe learning how to knit, just different things that are not screen related. That would be a great idea. Another way to reassess your digital life would be to go through some of your files that you've been saving and maybe emails that you have on your email list. Go through those, delete the ones you don't need anymore, delete extra pictures you have on your phone. Those things are there, and sometimes we forget about them because they're not taking up physical space, but there is mental space involved with that. And as it relates to influencers, always be thinking about whatever channel you follow, if that is bringing some life into your life or if it's really bringing you down. So if you started following a channel thinking that it would inspire you or help you keep you motivated, but you're finding that every time you watch those videos you feel inadequate or you feel like you're not living up to whatever you're supposed to because you're playing the comparison game, get rid of those influences because that is not necessary in your life. Use the things you love. I know I talk a lot on this channel about decluttering and getting rid of the excess things that you don't care about, but I want to also emphasize, especially during this New Year season, to really highlight the things that you do love and to be with them on a regular basis. So don't put them away because they are special. I actually think that by displaying some of these favorites, it helps us to recognize why that item is so much more special than some of the other things, and it actually makes decluttering probably a little bit easier. As it relates to the last tip I talked about with the digital life, maybe find those pictures that you have stored on your camera that are special to you. Go ahead and print those out on actual physical paper and display them because those are memories too that you can celebrate and be appreciative of in this new year. Write down positive reinforcements. I can't stress to you enough how important this is. I would encourage you to do this before the season really starts off too much. Really at the beginning of the year, write down the things that you love about yourself, the things that you're good at, the things that you are capable of. Write all of these things down because guess what? This year there are going to be some challenges that come your way. I can guarantee it. And you might start to feel like you are less than or you are not able to do something. And I want you to be able to look back on those positive reinforcements, those words of encouragement, and see that you are. This is honestly a great way to keep your own voice in on the conversation because even though this time of year we get really excited about the new and we're excited about our resolutions or our goals, there's definitely going to be doubt that creeps in, exterior voices that are making their ideas known, and sometimes that can drown out our own voice. And so to have these things written down to look back on is going to be really important. And the final tip that I have for an intentional new year is to reflect on the positives daily. It's much easier for us as we're falling asleep at night to think about all the things that went wrong or the things that we wish we could have done better in our day. But instead, I would encourage you to reflect on at least one positive every single day, whether you think about it or better yet, write it down in a journal. What is something that you're thankful for? What is something that went well? Maybe you were given a compliment or you felt really good about a decision that you made. Acknowledge the small accomplishments that come in the beauty of your own life. If you are able to incorporate some of these intentional ideas into the new year, I hope that they bring you much joy and happiness. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.